Hey HBs, you're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while going off on tangents that the texts remind us about. So let's start off this episode with a Patreon shout-out. Rohani R., you are descended from Hemera, the Greek personification of day. You bring light and warmth to everyone you come in contact with. Your sunny disposition and steadfastness give others the stability and comfort they need. But you've got bite as well. Just as the sun warms and nourishes, it has the ability to burn. And just as day takes 12 hours to herself each night, you have the wisdom to give yourself what you need to stay balanced and happy. You can check out all of our bonus content and gifts at patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms podcast. It's a party. And speaking of parties, we have big news! We chose the winners of the KissCon merch design contest. We had such a hard time choosing. All of the designs were absolutely amazing. But congratulations to Stephanie KB, Kate M, and Rachel R. We're going to have the winning designs up in our Redbubble store until April, so make sure to get your merch before KissCon. It's limited edition. All proceeds from this merch are going to be donated to All Hands and Hearts for their work helping families and communities recover from the earthquakes and hurricanes in Puerto Rico. And now, without further ado, here is part 1 of The Bollywood Bride by Sonali Dev. Oh, hi, Erin.
Hello, Melody.
How are you?
I was fine.
Uh-oh.
And then I found out something about you moments ago.
Oh, wow. We're doing it in front of everybody, huh?
HBs, particularly HB Cole. Listen up. Melody has not seen the Disney movie musical Newsies.
I have seen snippets of it.
There's no part of it. You have to see it in order. There's a rhythm to it. There's like a feel to it.
Or maybe I have and I've just forgotten, but
No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way you could have forgotten. I am floored by this. Like, yeah. Newsies is such a part of my being that it blows my mind that anyone in my world has not. It's such like a touchstone of my soul.
Yeah.
Guys, where this is coming from is this morning.
Yeah, Erin did something special.
The early hours of the morning, I recorded a 3-hour podcast with my friend Cole about Newsies, and we had to cut it short. Like near the end, Cole was like, "Hey, buddy, this is great, but I have 17 minutes," because he had to do something for his godson's birthday or something super lame and unimportant like that. And then today, all day, I've been thinking of shit we missed.
Yeah.
And didn't cover. There's so many Newsies we didn't talk about.
Oh, God. How many of them? Which ones? Which ones did you miss?
Didn't we talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we talked about your main Newsies, Your Jack Kelly, your David, your Les, your Mush, your Kid Blink, Spot Conlon, your Crutchy, Racetrack, your normal Newsies. And then we're thinking that there's all these sub-Newsies we didn't even talk about. And we didn't talk about the red-haired kid that yells in the beginning. Oh, no. There's so many things that we missed. And there was a line that later today I figured out that I've gotten wrong my whole life. And I wanted to talk about it. And I can't because we only had those 3 hours this morning. It's a romance. It ends with a kiss. So it's technically a Heaving Bosoms podcast. So
that's right. And
buckle in, guys.
I have Disney Plus. I will make time and I will watch some Newsies.
You need 2 hours and 1 minute because that is the runtime.
Erin can apparently do the entire movie by heart.
Including
the shot pans too. Yes. And then Mush breaks in with, and then, yeah. I was thoroughly impressed. She did it for me in a theatrical reenactment before we started recording, and I've never been so upset about not having been recorded
Here's what I want. Here's what I need for you and all the other HBs within the sound of my voice to do.
Yeah.
I don't know when this episode is coming out. It could be a month. It could be 2 months. It could be next week. We don't know.
We don't know yet.
Have it in our pocket for when
That's
I need
right.
it for my unplanned military stuff.
That's right.
Listen, I need you to watch this movie before you listen to this episode. Will you do that for me?
Listener, will you do that for her and me?
I am not talking to listener.
Oh, you're talking to Melody?
Yes.
Oh!
Like, listener is like kind of a side goal, but my primary goal is Melody watches this movie.
Melody is going to watch it. This is my solemn promise to you. And the main reason I'm going to watch it for you is because I still haven't gotten my shit together to watch The Magicians season 4, even though it's on Netflix. And we still have to talk about that. And it's a travesty that I am not a good friend.
The Magicians is hands down the best show on television.
You've been so patient. The problem is they're starting from a place of heartbreak in season 4, and I am having a hard time getting through it.
I give no fucks if you watch The Magicians or not. All of a sudden, like as of 15 minutes ago, I care about nothing more than you watching Newsies.
It has to be Newsies. Wow.
Yeah, it's so the idea of watching it for the first time just blows my mind. Like I just want to watch you watch it. I'm so excited for you.
Oh wow.
But you have to pretend that you're 13 years old and that all of these boys are so hot. They're all very hot and none of them are 16 and you're 30 whatever you are.
Sure.
I don't know what you are.
I don't actually know either.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure I'm 32.
But just know that, okay, and I will, you know what? I'm going to give you a list of Newsies that are of age.
Okay.
So that you have it ahead of time.
Thank you. That's real nice.
Yeah. You won't need it. You're going to be like, what is she talking about? But we're not here for Newsies.
We are not. We have The Bollywood Bride by Sonali Dev.
Yeah, we do.
And I loved it. Except that it hurt so bad. It was such a hurt angst. Ouch.
It was fine. It was not for me.
Yeah.
It was not for me.
Yeah. Oh, no, it definitely was not for you. It's one of those. Okay.
For me.
We have to do a really quick disclaimer at the front because, listener, this is the hardest kind of book to recap. This is one of the books where, like, nothing really happens plot-wise and everything is internal. Like, she looks at the basement door and it triggers a memory from her childhood and then she goes back and she goes up the stairs to shower and then it triggers another memory from her childhood.
It reminds me of is Hate to Want You. It's very similar to me in, like, how the story is told because it's like nothing really is happening now. And it's the same kind of thing of like people who were together. Yeah. But people who were together and they have all these memories.
Yeah.
But it's all in flashbacks and stuff. So it's like, it's hard to recap.
It's hard to recap. Okay. And my other disclaimer, you guys, is that I would have DNF'd this not because I didn't like it, but because it's not a good book for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. The writing is gorgeous. The emotions are like oceans deep. It is beautiful. And like everything that happens is like so vibrant on the page. But the heroine is in a really bad mental health place. For the first 40% of the book, the hero just like spits vitriol at her the whole time and she like bottles it up. And I am trying not to be in that place right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very hard. And then like by the end I was sobbing because, you know, it's a happy ending, but good fuck. You go through so much to get there. And I was literally crying today in my house.
I have disclaimers. Domestic abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental health issues, eating disorders.
Yeah.
God, what else? Like, it's just everything you can think of.
It's a much
in this.
In it.
So we're going to try to make this a podcast, a fun, super fun podcast that you can listen to and not be triggered if you have any of those triggers. But just know those are all in this book.
Yeah.
And it's a rough. It gets a little rough.
Yes. So Let's do it. So we have Ria and Vikram. We start in the prologue. She is 7, I think, and he is 10.
Oh, yes.
And she has not spoken for a year because she has gone through some very, very serious trauma. And then it was not handled very well by her only caregiver. And now she's in a stranger's house. Because
and we don't really know.
We don't know any about that. Yeah. We don't
just
know about
she's
that.
Mute.
Yes, we know that she cannot find her words.
Yes.
But then this silver gray-eyed boy,
stormy,
blue, beautiful,
silver,
blue gray eyes. Yeah.
Blue gray.
He's like, why don't you come and I'll show you this tree? And so that he takes her to this big giant oak that's like very climbable, and it's like storybook kind of tree. Yeah. Yes, it's very My Girl. Yes. And that is a movie that imprinted on me as a preteen. I'll tell you that much. Woof.
Yeah. You know what's more fun than that? Newsies.
Newsies, I bet.
Newsies.
There we go. So they go there,
it.
And she starts climbing, and he looks at her and he says, can you teach me how to climb like that? And it's the first time in a year that she has found her words. And she says, yes. And then he says, do you want to be friends? And she's like, yes, definitely. Absolutely. And they're going to be friends forever now. Mm-hmm. And a pivotal thing in each other's lives. So now, chapter 1, fast forward 20 years, I think.
Yes.
20 years. Yeah.
She's like on her patio. Okay. What?
I did not understand the architecture of all that was happening.
There's so much architecture that makes no sense to me.
Because
if somebody can diagram out what's going on, what?
Yeah, so we should say, sorry, Vikram and Ria are both of Indian descent. Vikram's family lives in the U.S. and they immigrated here and now they live here. I think Vikram was born here. I'm not super sure. And then...
they live in...
Naperville,
motherfuckers! That is not the only thing that is from Bully that is also in this book. That's right, Naperville.
That's right, the roughest place in Chicago suburbs.
Also the richest place.
So rich and ritzy. No,
but it's noted more than once that Vikram does not look like he's Indian, which I thought was interesting as a character trait.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I didn't love it. And I didn't love that he had like blue eyes. Like it was hard for me to imagine an Indian man who did not look Indian and also had blue eyes.
Well, so I chatted with Ushma about this and a lot of other stuff. Yeah, because I wanted to get her gauge on some things. Yeah.
I read this book right up until The Wire, and there were a lot of things about the wedding that I was like, fuck, I wish I had time to talk to HB Ushma about. She just got married and had this like, this all centers around a wedding. And I think she had a traditional Indian wedding. So I'm like, she just did this. She could tell us all about it.
Yeah. So she was like, because I asked her what she thought about his appearance and like the fact that he sounded non-Asian when he was described, even though he has Indian parents. And, you know, it's actually noted in the book that his new girlfriend is like, Vikram, did you know that's an Indian name? And he looks at her and he's like, yeah, my very Indian parents named me after my very Indian grandfather. And she's like, oh, I had no idea. Mm-hmm. But she sent me a picture of an Indian actor called Nakul Mehta. And he is very similar in description. I'm holding it up to the camera for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but you know what? I just didn't like it because my perspective is always going to be, let's have some hot Asian men. Like, just let them be Asian. They can be the usual look of Asians instead of the outliers. You know what I mean? That look more Caucasian, if you will, or look more ambiguous, I guess. I don't know. I just think that you can have some really hot South Asian dudes and have him look like that. I don't know.
I think I brought some of my baggage to it. Well, this isn't my baggage, but it's like a very formidable part of my growing up where I went to speech camp and there was a girl from she was from Naperville.
Naperville, motherfuckers!
So I was probably like freshman or sophomore year of high school, went to speech camp, and there was a girl, an Indian girl that was in my like assigned group at the camp. And then there was like another Indian girl that was also at the camp, but she wasn't in my group, so I didn't get to know her. I remember her name was Pooja, but I don't remember what the girl's name that was with us. And the girl's name, or the girl that was with us, was light-skinned. And she was constantly talking shit about the other girl.
Oh, yeah.
Because she had darker skin. And she literally called her a dirty South Indian.
Oh,
and
shit.
Yeah. It was really horrible.
No,
and
not okay.
This girl, like, seemed to be otherwise, like, nice and funny and, like, normal. And then she would just get on this rant, this racist rant against this other girl. And it was the first time in my life where I realized the people from like the same country or the same background could have this like internal racism about like skin shades. Like I had never encountered that before. And it's so like stuck in my memory that I think when Vikram was described, I just felt like kind of disappointed.
Right.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. So anyway, and then Ria, we should say, is also Indian. She was born, I think, I don't remember where she was born. But she currently lives in Mumbai, and she spent most of her formative years in India. She went to boarding school in India, and then she would spend 2 months a year with Vikram in America for the summer. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of like the overall setup. So the architecture, let's get back to it.
Oh, yeah. So she's on her balcony.
She's currently in Mumbai on her balcony, and I did not know what was going on.
She lives in like a high rise. She is a Bollywood film star. She's in her beautiful posh apartment looking out on the city of Mumbai. Mm-hmm. She does a backbend and then looks at the city.
Does she do a backbend?
Yeah,
I think she's like holding. So she
like
climbs
arching
over the railing.
She's already over the railing?
I don't know. When does she drop her phone? When she's doing the backbend?
Okay. So I thought she had like, she was doing some kind of like back arch thing to look at the city upside down. And then she was like compelled to like throw the city back upright again. So she like did like this throwing herself forward thing. And then the phone slips out of her whatever pocket or whatever.
Yeah.
And hand maybe, I don't know. And then falls onto like a ledge, another ledge.
Right.
And then
ledge
she climbs.
It's over the balcony railing, but like not super dangerous as long as you don't mind heights. And so she climbs over the railing, and I think she has her hand on the railing and she's reaching with the other hand or something like that to get her phone. But then she notices a bunch of flashes from the building across from her and realizes there's a paparazzo there. And then he mouths for her to jump.
Yeah. But also, that's like, but also she looks really crazy in this moment because she was like, was she crying or something?
She was changing, and it was after a long night. She had like thick kohl around her eyes.
Her boobs got trapped in her dress.
Yes.
Been there.
Yes. Oh, been there.
Yeah. And I don't even have big boobs, but I just have
this rib cage, you know?
Yes.
This rib cage is formidable. Yeah. Yeah, so she was in like these short shorts and like a gauzy shirt. So she sees the pictures later, spoiler alert. And like her nipples are showing and stuff. Like she's not outside in the public. She's at her house just doing house things, okay? Mm-hmm. And this fucker is over there invading her privacy and then tells her to jump. It is terrible. So then it opens up next, like on the next day. And the other thing that happens in chapter 1 before all of this is that her cousin Nikhil calls because he's getting married in the States and he wants her to be at the wedding.
Yes.
And she sort of tries to beg off because there are reasons she can't go back to the States and reasons she can't see people there and stuff.
It's so messy. She hasn't been back in 10 years. She doesn't know how she even could.
Yeah.
But then he really convinces her because he's her favorite cousin or whatever.
Yeah, he's basically a brother. His mom is essentially her mom. And that's like a plot point that made me sob later on. Don't worry. So then the next day we meet Ty, her maid. And there's a bunch of banter that gives us some background about how she's like this recluse and straight as an arrow. Like she doesn't party. Honestly, she barely eats. And it's rough.
Obvious. How she barely eats. And the how she barely eats, I felt it kept happening over and over and over and over. And she kept being rewarded for it over and over and over and over. Not in the way that she felt, but in the way that she was treated. Like her trainer was like, great job.
Yeah.
I feel like if you have a heroine like that, that should resolve somehow. at the end.
Right.
And it doesn't. I mean, I'm sure it does, but it doesn't on the page.
Yeah.
And I really, again, with my own baggage, needed that one to resolve.
Right. Well, so here's the reason I sort of gave it a pass. And that is because I know that there are people who exist in the world who react to moderate to severe depression by losing their appetite.
Oh, totally.
And
yes.
so that's certainly what it was depicting. She wasn't purposefully not eating in order to lose weight or stay good for films or anything like that. She was just deeply, deeply depressed.
And it's written as unhealthy.
Correct.
But
Correct.
I feel like if it was any other self-destructive behavior, like if she were self-mutilating or something like that, we would have seen it resolve on the page. Like,
yeah.
And Ria never did that shit again.
Right. Sure.
And Ria finally ate a meal at the end of this book and realized how great it was to eat food and have it nourish you. The end. Like just something. Yeah. I'm sure it does resolve because all her shit kind of resolves at the end, but it's just like...
But that's also one of the other issues I have with the book is that it just sort of magically resolves instead of her going to some serious therapy and thinking about, you know, some other things. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems as though she just magically... Anyway, we'll get to it. Anyway, so, again, it's beautiful. And I really, really like the book, but there are some problems that I had with it. Okay, so her maid is, like, telling her that by the time she was 28, like Ria, she had 5 kids. And then it triggers this terrible memory about Vikram's mom telling her that you will find someone else to have crazy children with. It will not be my Vikram.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying that to like an 18-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, there are other memories where other people like call her the girl that comes from insanity and stuff like that. And it's just, it's really, really sad. And she's certainly internalized all of it. And then we actually see her on the film set for a minute. It doesn't really matter. It basically just shows us that she hasn't let anyone else get close to her or touch her for like a decade.
This icky guy hits on her.
Yeah.
And you can tell there's something there with like icky guys in film.
Correct.
Like she definitely has some kind of something she's carrying around with that.
Yeah. And then her agent, Big DJ. I like
love
this.
Big DJ.
Love Big
her agent.
DJ. Ooh, he was so fun. I love the fact that she was like, yeah, he's real short, but like he fills the room with his personality. And I hear that he's called Big for another reason.
I like a book about Big DJ. I would read it.
Yeah, same. So anyway, he shows her the photos because they apparently got like messengered to him or something.
The photos of her on the ledge.
Yeah. And he's like, this is bad. This cannot get out. But don't worry. I'll keep essentially the blackmailer at bay because this person is now being like, you can do something about it or I'll send it to the press.
Right.
And she is worried because she hears that they've also been asking other questions. And she drops that she's worried about people knowing about her murderous mother. And she says she doesn't want to cry because she hasn't cried in 10 years.
In 10 years, which is crazy because she has like the most depressing life, you guys.
She does.
Like very depressing.
She does. But she knows that. So for her, tears and words are the 2 biggest indicators of her like falling apart because she loses her words and she can't stop her tears. They like sort of happen in inverse. And so she doesn't want to allow herself to cry because she doesn't want the floodgates to open and to like cry for the next 3 years or something is terrible and terrifying. But this is where we find out about some icky film star background that sounds a metric fuck ton like rape and then gets sort of complicated, but not at all complicated. It's a lot. Okay. Essentially, go ahead, Erin.
Here's my major issue.
Well, should we tell them what happened? Like just the small.
Yeah, I guess. So she has like a flashback to, I'm going to use the words having sex with this man, and like the things he's saying to her and the things she's thinking make us believe that it's some kind of sexual assault or quid pro quo situation.
Right. It turns out that it is a quid pro quo situation, that he's essentially saying you can get your big break as long as we basically have sex for the whole time we film. Right. And at the beginning of the book, it's like she's obviously piling it all on herself and like, I'm such a whore. Like, I don't know how to say.
Yeah,
you know, that's her mindset.
She's dirty
really,
and it's her fault, and she
awful.
Exchanged herself for this like cheap fame job sort of thing. Yeah.
But then later on, we find out that she didn't make an educated choice before being put in that situation. Mm-hmm. First, it sounds like a rape. And then the second time we hear about it later on in the book, I don't super know where, it sounds like she had the choice of, I will make you a star if you fuck me. And she made that educated choice. And then later on, we find out that she had already signed contracts that made her incredibly financially liable in a way that she could not get out of saying yes to this situation. And it is
and then we find out that if he knew more about her, he writes her this letter. It's rough. But I think, and maybe it's too early to talk about this, but Ria has so many problems.
Yeah.
One of them is this issue with having exchanged sex for fame.
Right.
However you want to, talk about that. Coercively or not.
Yeah.
Another issue is Vikram's mother telling her to get lost because she's insane or a child of insanity, which we've already alluded to. We've got a whole different issue with her mother and her dad and baggage with that.
And some big traumas there. Major multiple traumas in that department.
Multiple traumas. Traumas from when she was a child, traumas from when she was older, and traumas from right now.
Yeah.
So each of these things, the thing with the director, the thing with his mom, or the thing with her parents, like the multiple things actually with her parents, like each individual thing, any one of those things could have kept her and Vikram apart.
Oh, yeah.
We did not need all of these things.
It's so many.
It's so much. Yeah. That's all. I think I would have liked this book a lot better if she would have just picked one thing.
Yeah, it felt a bit like a pile-on, if I'm being honest with you. Okay, so then.
Are we going to Naperville? Are we headed to Naperville, motherfuckers?
Naperville.
This is Naperville.
Yeah.
Are we going down to the track? Are we going to race some cars?
Not this time.
Okay, all right, okay. That's fine.
This time, it's all wedding all the time, Erin.
All wedding. It's all running through the forest.
Oh my God, it is
those
so
beautiful, lush Naperville forests.
Those Napervillian forests.
And all that Naperville cuisine they go get.
Yeah, they go to the Mongolian barbecue at some point where you like get all your stuff into a bowl and then they saute it up for you. I fucking love those things. Is that what that's right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Mongolian grill. Maybe it's not a barbecue.
Anyway, the Mongolian barbecue was the one where you had like the red and the green and you moved it. That's Brazilian barbecue.
That's Brazilian barbecue. Yeah.
Oops. Okay.
Oh, have we ever sounded more white? Okay.
It's just different kinds of barbecue. They're all tasty meats.
It's so many barbecues. So, but again, I think it might be grill because it's more grill than barbecue. Okay. So she is getting ready to like go down and meet like there's a party tonight. And so she's putting on her starlet armor and she's trying to make herself the ice princess that she's known as in Bollywood, because that's how she's kept everyone at bay, is to create this ice princess persona, which I mean is not far off from somebody who's just incredibly depressed. And go ahead.
True, but that director gave her that nickname because she was like demure and reluctant to do sex with him.
She didn't like having sex with him. Oh my God, you're right. How did I miss that?
So he was like, oh, you're such an ice princess. And then he changed her name from her original surname to like a more Western sounding one and then gave her that nickname in the press, which is so super gross.
Yeah. Can I read you one of the most devastating lines I've ever read in a book from the last chapter? Okay. The film star says that she's getting the better end of the deal. And she then says, he had been right. Not only had he given Ria a new name and her first role, but he had pounded every last remnant of hope and innocence from her heart and every last memory of Vikram from her body.
Oof.
God, it's awful.
But like that's not even true because her body is all about Vikram all the time.
Well, yeah, when she finally sees him again, but when she's far away from him for 10 years and in her awful depressive hole, anyway. So she gets ready and she puts her hair up in a bun because she remembers Vikram loving to tangle his fingers in her hair.
Snarl it.
I know. And then he snarls it all up. And so she comes down the stairs and she sees him in the foyer talking to someone else. And she like immediately has a panic response. And she thinks about the last time she saw him and the way she saw pain shatter his gray blue eyes. And she slips away before he sees her and then runs into her cousin and his fiance. His fiance Jen is a cool story. Oh, I forgot to ask Ushma this. Oh, well. She was adopted from China and she has 2 American parents. But she's the one who wanted like the full-on traditional Indian wedding, which is really fun.
If I were marrying an Indian man, I would 100% want that as well. It is so beautiful.
It is so gorgeous.
I did not know it took 4 hours. That's a lot.
I didn't either.
But it sounds like you get snacks. So if you got snacks, I think that would be fine.
I think I'd be fine with it. Yeah.
But, oh my gosh. Like everything is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
and I loved that in this book, I got so much more context for a lot of the ceremonies that I knew about, but I didn't know like the deeper meaning.
Yes.
So like when they do the henna and
That's what I was going to talk about too. The shades of the henna. I had no idea. That's so beautiful.
Hey, don't worry. I made sure to ask Ushma what her henna told her about her husband. And she was like, my henna turned really dark.
Yay!
So that means that her husband loves her so much and so steadfastly and so just selflessly, I'm sure. Yeah, so Ushma's doing great, you guys. The henna said so.
I'm kind of like, I'm pissed now because I have 2 close Indian friends who are both unmarried besides Ushma, who we didn't know very well when she did get married. And they have not gotten married and are both under unbelievable pressure from their families to do so. And I don't want to pile on. But now I'm a little bit like, get married. Like, I really want to go to one of these ceremonies. I want to see all this stuff.
One of the tragedies of my life? One of my really, really good friends from college got married, and she's Indian, and she also married an Indian man. They had the full shebang, complete with like these gorgeous engagement photos, and they had the traditional ceremony, and then the reception that was like
multiple dinners. Like, I want
so
this
many
food.
things. Yeah, but I couldn't go to it because I was so close postpartum with Valor.
No.
She got married in March, and I was like still not up for traveling, especially with a newborn and all that shit. And so I feel like I missed a pivotal opportunity with my friend.
And I can't be the asshole that says to either of these women, when do you think maybe soon you'll get married? Because they will both punch me in the face.
And they will be totally justified.
Yes, but at the same time, and just because I want to go to a fun party, but still, I'm very wanting to go to a wedding like this.
I know.
This wedding too is like a storybook version of this wedding too. Is like the most beautiful lights and everything they're setting up, and it just seems like so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to be clear here. I mostly was upset about missing her wedding because she's a super close friend and I love her to pieces, and like
it's fine, Mel.
It's not because she's a novelty.
Everyone knows you just wanted to see all the beauty
and
eat all the food. That's fine. It's fine. No one cares. It's fine.
Although I did really empathize with Jen later on. I'll get to it when we get to it.
Okay.
So her cousin tries to show her off and she feels like really weird about it because she doesn't like the starlet persona. She doesn't like people relating to her in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so she feels her tongue go heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to like fill up a tray of food. And in the kitchen, this is one of those things, right? There's a memory that gets triggered because she's thinking about her childhood and she spent every summer here. And this is the only place where she felt like herself. And then she thought about how when she and Vikram started getting romantic, and it is totally beautiful. I have like so many passages, but
they would sneak away into this basement room that is off the kitchen. And either doesn't have a lock or they never locked it because no one ever goes down there.
And she was like worried about it. And he would say, nobody goes down there. It's okay. It's just us.
Yes.
Oh, so then.
Oof. So then poor Ria goes down these stairs. Why? I don't know. Just to be alone,
She's feeling nostalgic.
Yeah, I guess.
She's also still holding a platter.
Yeah, why is she? That's
She
what I'm
doesn't put
saying.
down
Why
the
is she
platter.
going down there right now? Like, is it?
Yeah.
Why does she have the platter? I guess just so she can break the platter. This is a big drama, you guys.
She's
She
in a
goes
bit of a
down-
dream state. She's in a nostalgic dream state. Okay,
Yes.
she's revisiting her childhood.
She
happy
does go
years.
down these stairs.
That's what she does.
She does get to the bottom of these stairs with
Mhm.
that glass platter.
Yeah.
She does hear and then see Vikram having sex with another woman down there.
They're heavy petting. They're
Are
getting
they?
close
Or
to
she
the heaven
bent
of the sex.
fuck over a sofa with his hand in her ass. I don't mean in.
No.
Sorry. What by in I meant clasping.
No,
with
I
like
thought
a,
she was she was straddling him. She was
Was she?
making out with him. She was straddling him, and he had her gangra, I think,
Oh.
pulled all the way up her skirt.
So it's
pulled
like
all the way up,
it's
and
like
like
a
he
couch
saw.
that's facing us.
That's the
and
one.
He's
Yeah.
sitting on it.
Yes,
and
that's
he's got
the one.
his hands in her butt. I'm
And,
sorry,
like,
on
all
but
up on her
clasping.
butt.
I just don't want anyone to think.
Well,
she
you're
walked
saying
down
in.
and was like both hands just in
Finger
her
in the
butt. What a chapter 2, Sonali Dev.
Him just making a prayer pose in her rectum. That's amazing. Wow.
Did I ever tell you about that Christmas party I went to where I saw somebody put their
No.
hand in another person's butt?
No. What are you talking about? In the other person's butt. What are you talking about? You saw
This is
fisting at a
really-
Christmas party?
Yes. So I went to
Wow.
a Christmas party of a friend. I think it was like on Christmas Eve too.
Okay.
Which like I'm
Sure.
not religious, but like keep your hands out of each other's
No,
butts on the Lord's Day.
Erin, this sounds like a Christmas miracle. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So there was a woman there that had like a dog that was like
Yeah.
not a kind of dog that you bring to a party. It was like, I
Okay.
just want you to know that outside of this butt fiasco, she was also like a woman that I was like, because don't take your like overly rambunctious dog to somebody
Like,
else's
don't take
party.
a rooster to somebody else's party.
Right.
Yeah.
In Alaska, it's customary that you bring your dog with you to parties. I've
Sure.
This is our culture. However, not a puppy. This was like a husky puppy that was just
Oh,
like,
wow.
and then also she was wearing like this very like Native American inspired dress that made me very uncomfortable, and she was
No.
very white about it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so then
I'm going to need you to get to the fisting.
it's not fisting. It's just fingers. But okay, so she's on the edge of the room. My friend and coworker and I are sitting on a couch. I think David may have been there as well. I can't remember if David was there, but I know that my coworker was there. And he and I were like sitting on this couch at kind of the edge of the party.
Okay.
And we were just sitting there quietly sipping drinks, having a nice, quiet, normal Christmas conversation.
Yes. Okay.
This woman and her date were kind of also at the edge of the party.
Sure.
They believed that they had their faces to the party and their backs away from everyone. They had not noticed that at an angle, Matt and I were sitting there clearly able to see their butts. And this woman...
I am on the edge of my butt right now. I just need you to know that.
She slips her hand down the back of his pants. And at first,
Okay.
I thought maybe she was just going to like cup a cheek, which is still
Yeah.
weird, I think, at a
Or
public.
like give a scratch, maybe he
because
can't.
wouldn't you just do that like on the outside of the pants?
Yeah, a
'Cause
little bit of a
that's-
butt grab. Sure.
But then we saw
Yeah.
the action of like an in, out, and an around, and like a kind of like a cup, like a. It was 100%. She was fingering his butt, and we were just astounded, like on so many levels. You're at like a 30-person dinner Christmas party. There are people behind you.
Your puppy is right there.
There's a pup.
I mean,
Also, like he's standing up all the way. Like there's no like he's not bent forward at all. Like he's completely standing up erect.
Did you see her like lick her
Not
finger or
penis
something?
wise,
first?
just standing. We were not paying attention until.
Sure. I mean, I hear you.
Why would I be watching for who's licking fingers in the room if I don't know that they're about to finger their partner's ass butthole? Like
You
it blew our minds.
You can never know that there's imminent fingering on the horizon.
We could not.
You can't.
So Matt and I have seen this thing. We can no longer unsee it.
It's one of the most
bizarre things that has ever happened to me in my life. A few days later.
No?
What?
You didn't clear your throat loudly?
We just watched it intently until it walked away.
What was it? What did his face look like?
I couldn't see his face.
Oh, no. All right.
They looked like they were just like casually, like in my mind's eye.
You're cool.
Like, I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but in my mind's eye, they were so casual from the front that he may have been just like sipping a drink. Like, that's how together it was.
That is impressive.
So, Matt, we can't keep this in. Like,
sure.
This information has to go far and wide, which is why I'm telling thousands of people about it now.
No.
So, I mentioned this to my friend who is better friends with the person who was hosting this party. I say, you're not going to believe this. You know that girl that had that puppy, like this girl who
right.
Ugh, I saw this happen.
Wow.
And then a few months later, she says she was at another encounter with that girl where she mentioned that her husband, boyfriend, whatever, had anal cysts.
Oh no.
Like from that? Was she treating that? Like, it's just a whole other wrinkle to the story.
Oh, no.
There's an anal cyst involved. Was she trying to help him with it? Is it from the constant public fingerings? Like, I still can't even believe I'm saying this story out loud. It makes me feel dirty, and I have done nothing wrong.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not even like be ashamed of sex or butt play or anything like that.
No.
It's like, so I have a bit of an issue with, like the voyeuristic or like public kink, just because you are sort of subjecting.
We were taken hostage by these people. Are you kidding me? A bit?
Yeah. You are subjecting your kink to unwitting strangers, and they did not consent to that, right?
I don't even think it's really like even a kink. It's not even abnormal. It's just like,
well, kink doesn't have to be abnormal.
Sure, I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't even think it's like necessary. The fact that it was a butt is like not even like part of this.
No, of course not. It's like, just like you saw a person get penetrated in front of you without your consent.
On Christmas. On Christmas.
I love that Christmas is the sticking point.
Yes.
And like, I'm concerned about the lube situation. How short were her fingernails? I am worried.
This is the first time since this happened like 3 years ago that I've ever even considered that part of it. So thank you. Yeah. So, all right. Are we done with this episode?
What happened? Oh, because you guys.
Because I kept saying his hands were in her butt.
That's the one.
But there's a description of how he's like gripping her ass cheeks so that his like fingers are like.
Well, and it's I think
in there.
You said in because you're trying to convey that her skirt is all the way up and it's flesh on flesh.
Yes,
right.
And he's got a good grip on those cheeks.
Yes, that's the one. Yes,
yeah.
So it's so it's like serious heavy petting, and so she looks at all of this and just drops the platter. What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing at how we took 20 minutes for that story.
I know.
In this episode, what are we doing? Okay, all right.
What's happening?
She shatters the platter.
She does.
Everywhere. And Vikram just kind of like wants to keep going.
Look, he looks up at her and he's all hazy. He can't break the spell of the sexy things they were doing or whatever. But then he meets her eyes and his gaze completely changes. It says their gazes melded into each other, locked in place, stripping bare everything she had struggled 10 years to forget. And then his eyes hardened. Remembrance slid like molten lava over the naked vulnerability she recognized, like her own breath, and turned it into such unadulterated hatred that Ria gasped and took a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah.
So Mira, #justice for Mira.
Yeah, Mira. Super sweet, super regular, just pulls that skirt down.
Yeah, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I'm Mira.
Yep.
Vikram said, no one ever comes down here. It's just us.
It's just us, he said.
Oof. And I'm so sorry. How awkward. Like,
Yeah, like, why don't you, I'm going to help you clean up
Please
these
don't
things.
tell all the aunties.
Yeah, because they'll have us married off. And then he's like, maybe the aunties should have seen. And she's like, is that a wedding proposal? And he's like, are you saying yes? And she's like, oh, he's so cute. And Ria is just like quietly picking up things, trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
And she keeps on thinking that maybe he's worried about like her hands. But then it turns out he's worried about Mira's hands, and he's making this big show about being like super chivalrous toward Mira. And then she's like, Mira says, oh, aren't you Vikram's cousin? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, we're not cousins. Mm-hmm. And which, like, if you're reading this, #cousin stuff could be.
Because they kind of are, because her cousin is his cousin, but it's like a marriage cousin. But
it's like
they are cousins, though.
Technically are like third cousins, I think, or something.
They had done been cousins. They are cousins.
Anyway.
Because that's clarified like several times in the book, but like they are, though, cousins.
So,
so
anyway. So she's like, oh, but didn't you guys grow up together? Like, weren't you
friends or something?
Yeah, weren't you friends? And then he says,
we were nothing.
We were
nothing.
HBs. We were nothing.
Here's #Bing Boong Bong Mira's perspective time.
I know, right?
This is a Bing Boong Bong that's going to come back. If you're Mira, you're nice. This woman's like totally, clearly flustered, more than just a regular person who saw people making out would be flustered. And then his eyes turn black from blue to black.
They're
and
not
he's
black.
Like, we were nothing. You've got to be like, oh, so she's his long lost love.
Had been happening 100%.
Before. Either she murdered someone he loved, or he loves her. One of the other.
But it's pretty clear later on that Mira has a hard time seeing anything outside of herself, including but not limited to Mira.
Justice for Mira. How dare you?
No, at the dinner they have later on, he's like clearly upset, and she's like not picking up on any of his.
I
guess they were minute facial
We'll talk
cues.
about it when we get there. But Mira was the
crazy.
only normal person at that table.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, okay. So she goes up the stairs and like apologizes, and then she can hear them start canoodling again. And Mira's like, V, get off me. She hasn't even closed the door.
And he's like, I want her to hear.
Yeah, he's like, why would I care? I
would have alarm bells as a girlfriend just that he was treating anyone like
anybody.
This.
Yes.
Let alone somebody who he should know and love in his family.
Right. Absolutely. But then he does a big sexy on her, and she sees hearts in her eyes, and then I think that they bone down there, probably, you guys. That's probably what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so then she does a big dramatic run out into the icy darkness. It's like, I think it's October in Naperville again. I don't know, but it's fucking
I'm
cold.
telling you, across town, bully is happening.
It's like, true.
Okay, so she
strips off her heels
for 3 hours.
No, we're not there yet.
This is just where
she just goes crying out to the oak tree that they shared.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry.
Then we find out that when they were like 21 and 19, he was chosen to go on this research trip to Brazil, but they had decided that they were going to like be together right afterwards and like be in college close together and then spend the rest of their lives together, basically. Mm-hmm. They essentially were like, yes, we're affianced now. Mm-hmm. And during this, he talks about trying to like hook up with other people while at school because his friends pressured him to, and how he just couldn't because he could only ever see himself with her.
Only Ria.
It is such a romance.
It is.
And so she returns to the house, tear-stained, hurt. She has frostbite on her toes. I'm certain of it, although it never comes back.
You can't get frostbite in Naperville. Come on.
Stop it. In Chicago? I was there during the polar vortex. Take it the fuck back.
We'll talk about Natalie MMM about this, but I do not think she has a frostbite from her little outside run.
She talked about frosty fucking grass or something. It's so cold.
Okay.
Noah, did I project this onto the text?
No, I think she's talking about frosty grass. I'm just saying I don't think she got frostbite. Like, frostbite's extreme.
Come on, that sounds anyway. All right, so she returns to the house and we get to meet the Auntie Brigade. They are wonderful. They are effusive and darling, and they're self-deprecating, and it's just so cute. And then they force feed her rice, and it is on the one hand adorable, and on the other hand concernicus.
Mm-hmm.
So
she like doesn't eat it and throws it away and like covers it up. It's rough.
Yeah. And then she gets some art stuff out, and there's this whole art subplot that I don't even want to talk about, except the fact that she sort of did an art, but she got in trouble.
Acco Schmerv. So like when she was having some mental health crises in her youth and she couldn't talk, somebody gave her
as
some
like
paints.
a tiny child. Yeah, they were like, she was like 7 and at boarding school.
Mm-hmm. And somebody gave her some paints.
And
because they thought that maybe she could paint her words instead of saying her words, and she painted some real dark shit. Like she was asked to paint a bird, and instead she painted like a murder.
Yeah, she painted like shit that kids paint after a serious, devastatingly awful trauma.
And instead of getting her some help, they said, take the paints away, and then they punished her. Which is not funny. I realize I laughed, but it's just so dark.
Yeah, and then he just switched boarding schools so that professional would no longer know that his child had issues.
Right.
And they just hid it. So also, I did ask Ushma about this as well, because I was like, there's certainly some mental health stigma here that, is getting better and people are trying to fight against, but it exists still. Is it more serious? Because it seems like very intense from the text in greater Indian culture,
Mm-hmm.
And Ushma said that after reading the book, she can attest that this is 100% spot on.
Oh, she read the book.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. And her explanation was that because the culture is so rooted in tradition and religion, that everything needs to be sort of like explained tangibly. And so a lot of times mental health issues and crises get explained as like a curse or punishment for something you did in a past life, because it makes sense in relation to Hinduism and other religions that exist there, or at least other religions that are baked into the culture. Obviously, Christianity and everything also exists there.
I feel like I can see this happening though in any like sweeping. I don't think it's a uniquely Indian thing or whatever. Like I can see anyone in any culture being like, "Ooh, our 7-year-old drew something scary."
Yes.
Hide it, and get her away from that teacher, which is no good. I'm not saying this is like a good thing.
No.
But man, this is like everywhere and everybody, like
it definitely is.
Children's mental health stuff.
Yeah, when I talked to her about it, I was more like, I was just really shocked by how adults talked to a tiny child and maligned her for being like a child of insanity, and like how she's gonna have her she's cursed, all of that. And I was like, I have a hard time thinking about a scenario in which that would seem okay, but it does make sense.
This quote unquote child of insanity stuff does seem really specific.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then Vikram, when she came there, she was like sketching and he was really interested in it. She was like, don't tell anyone I was drawing. Yeah, because in her brain, drawing will get you sent to another place, and she loved this place. It was the only place she felt safe. So instead, he just snuck her paint supplies.
Put them in their little attic place above her closet. And they're still up there. She climbs up there and she sees them.
Yeah. So then the next morning, she goes downstairs to drink some warm water and do an actress breathing exercise. That is a trainer thing.
I don't know. This felt very Kundalini to me.
It did. Oh, it did. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like well, it was a thing her trainer said to do, but I think I've actually done this breathing exercise.
Yeah. Anyway. Now that I think about it. Yeah.
So she drinks a bunch of warm waters, and then she does like the thing where you like pull your stomach up into your rib cage and you go like that.
Yeah. And then Vikram is like, here I am
there eating cereal.
How did she not hear the crunch of the cereal?
I have no, because she was going,
yeah, it's true. So then this, he's so mad.
He's so mean. And I was just like, what could this bitch have possibly done to you, Vikram?
I know.
That you were this mad. And then when I figure out all the shit this bitch has done to Vikram, I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what, Vic? Just cut and run. Like, you don't need to be trying to get Ria back the many times that you do.
They're meant for each other.
They
fated.
are, and I'm so happy Vic did, but
wow.
But it's a big wow. All the shit she did to him.
Here's the thing. So not only all the shit she did to him, but also all the shit she went through. It was like 98% of the book where we finally got
when it all clicked
making the decision to be with him. And even that felt like, I'm so surprised we got here.
Yes.
You know? Like, God, everything seems so insurmountable, Erin. It was such a big angst.
This is a book where I needed them to like make the decision and then have not an epilogue, but a final chapter of happiness.
Right.
Because I didn't like super believe the HEA, like that they had this long conversation. They're like, and we're going to be together. I'm like, are you though?
I know.
Because
it sounds like she changes her mind every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And it sounds like her very ingrained self-hatred and generational hatred is something that is going to take years of therapy and not just your penis to overcome.
Even though it does seem like a good one.
It's a real good one, you guys. Oh, boy. Well, and speaking of how good his penis is, during this conversation, like, they do a lot of, like, back and forth, and he's, like, trying to shrug at her, and she's like, mer. But then it finally devolves, and she realizes that, like, he just got home. It's, like, 4 or 5 in the morning. And he's like, yeah, I was taking Mira home, and I was hanging out with Mira. Things are never boring with her. She's really fucking awesome. And she goes, it looked like you weren't super bored last night with that giant fistful of ass. And then she says, you didn't even wait until I was gone to start up things again. And then he goes, what can I say? It's a gift. It didn't take me very long to rev you up, but oh no, I'm sorry. That wasn't just me. That was any man.
Oof.
And it is a hurt.
It is a big hurt. And at the time, I was like, Vikram, I don't know that you're going to get me back from this.
Yeah, Vikram.
You are a big hurt and a big asshole. But you did.
You're a big lash out.
Ria did a big deserve this, I think.
So she did.
Sorry.
And she had the best of intentions, but like she was looking at it through a huge lens of self-hatred and hopelessness.
And immaturity. She was too young for all the things that happened to her.
Yeah. So she like wants to go after him and tell him off because she's like, that's not true. Since that guy who coerced me and, you know,
his name
was
is
awful.
Ved, everyone.
His name is Ved. Ugh, Vade.
I kind of like.
No, it's
Vade.
Vade.
Is it Vade?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's how the audio book person said it.
What is about me in my life that I like the name Ved, but I don't like the name Vade? What is that? I don't know. What is my brain and ears like? What? Anyway, I was disappointed to find that out. Okay.
Well, it might be Ved. I don't know. It could be a different pronunciation.
Yeah, whatever.
So she's like, but no, I haven't let anybody else touch me since then because my life looks glamorous, but it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. And then that triggers a memory of him getting beat to shit by Vade's bodyguards.
Beat to shit by Vade's bodyguards.
Super fucking beaten up. Like, wow. And he
guys,
apparently comes back from Brazil after his 8 weeks and is like, where Ria? Gonna marry Ria now.
Yeah.
Have plan. And they're like, she's gone. She do movie now.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Oh.
Can you imagine?
Because he was totally incommunicado on this fucking farm in Brazil.
Yeah. And she has said nothing to him.
Not a goddamn thing.
He is ready to marry the love of his life. And it's
childhood sweetheart.
Sorry, Vicky. She's fucking this director now in exchange for fame. We're going to beat the shit out of you.
For even coming near her.
Yeah.
What?
And then you don't see her for 10 years.
Also, I don't mean to add this on because it's like super trivial, but in my brain it like adds a lot of insult to injury. He comes from Brazil to Naperville and is like, where Ria ? They're like Mumbai ! So then he go to Mumbai.
Yes.
and then gets the shit kicked out of him, and then is expected to like go away again.
Yeah.
So like that,
and I don't buy
22-hour plane trip
that he's incommunicado in Brazil. Like this is a
send a goddamn carrier pigeon.
That you would not. You are engaged to this man, and you have decided to burn it down. Like
burn it the fuck down
for not a very good reason, in my opinion.
From our very Western view, yeah,
sure. I don't know if it's different. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. We'll get to it, I guess. But I felt like not a good enough reason. This is the only person, him and his mother are the only two people that have ever loved and taken care of her.
No, not his mother.
Oh,
his
Nikhil's
auntie.
mother. Yeah, but this little arm of the family that she's burning down. Those are the only people.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't know.
It was a lot. So
yeah, he can say whatever the fuck he wants to her. I'm good. Like, I'm good, Vicky.
I know.
Whatever you want to do.
It was tough. So, well, and like she basically white fanged him. So he comes, he's beaten up to hell.
Yeah.
He's like, what is going on, Ria? We're getting married, ? Yeah. And she like,
come on, boy, get.
She lets Vade like drape his arm around her. And
oh my God.
She says that this is a dream come true, and why would you get in my way? We find out way later in the book. We don't find that out yet, but I'm telling you right now, listener, it's like a big awful. And so
she is.
Wow.
I can't.
Yeah, but then she gets punished by the movie star, her co-star, because it says that he went from thinking that she's just like greedy and opportunistic to thinking she's ruthless and a man-eater because she broke this kid's heart.
Yeah.
And so it says that he made her pay, like on her knees and bent over a couch and stuff.
He made her pray, right?
No, pay.
I think I read that pray. And I was like, the fuck? What a weird thing to make somebody do.
Make her pray.
Yeah, I definitely read that pray. Like, get on her knees and pray over and over. And I'm like, what a weirdly religious rapist. Not that, like, but I bought it. I'm like, people are mean and cruel in their special ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely what I thought it said.
Yeah. And she says that she took it because she thought she deserved it for selling her body for a role in the biggest movie that year and not having anything else to sell. Oof.
Is he a director or a co-star? Because
he's
I keep calling
her co-star.
I thought he was a director. Okay. All right. Okay.
So then the next morning, Erin, take it from here.
Is this chapter 18?
For a run. No. She goes for a run. No, we're only in like chapter 4, I think.
Good, because I only have notes from chapter 18.
We're in chapter 7.
Okay.
No, she goes for a big run.
Big Boong Bong. Big long run. 3-hour run. Listen,
don't do that.
Don't listen.
Especially if you haven't eaten anything in 4 years.
I believe that listen. Hi.
Okay. I'm here.
She hasn't eaten anything. I get that what she's doing is like punishing herself, but could you run for 3 hours straight regardless of what your mental intentions were?
She's in good shape. She goes running regularly.
But that's longer than a half marathon.
She's a Bollywood actress. That's so many
That doesn't mean she's a distance athlete.
That's true. I'm just saying she is in good shape.
I mean,
it's not like she went from
herself.
the couch.
I don't know. This was a big oof for me. And
yeah, this could have been like a 15-mile run minimum.
Yeah. And so she does a big injure and she gets a big cramp. And then Vicky's just like there.
Yeah, so he's hanging out by her tree, tree, and apparently he was looking for her. So he went to the tree, and she ended her run by the tree or whatever, and he's immediately concernicus because obviously...
Because he's a doctor, or she thinks he's a doctor.
She thinks he's a doctor, you guys. Oof. So then, oh, wait. I lied. This isn't when this happens. Oh, noes. Okay. Forget that. She goes for a regular run, you guys.
So much runs.
And then this is where she sees Vicky playing with the kids. And then somebody mentions V-Learn and how much they learned and burr, 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 burr. And she sees him happy for the first time and burr, burr, burr. And then she has breakfast with her family, burr, burr, burr. And they talk about this new project they're really proud of him about, but don't get any more specific or whatever. And then, oh yeah, and nobody in their family knew about her and Vikram. Like, Nikhil knew, but Uma doesn't know. Uma Atya doesn't know. Vijay Kaka doesn't know. Nobody knows.
Which is crazy, because if you're in the same room with these two, you know. Because it gets real weird real fast every time.
In either direction. It either gets real weird and awkward and vitriolic, or it gets real weird and like, maybe I'm going to finger your butt right now.
Like, I can imagine any room they're in, everybody just like quietly pieces out. So the idea that like no one knows, because like Mira knows now, and she's known them for 10
Mira.
minutes. So like,
right. Yeah. So then she flashes back to the mom saying more stuff about, you know, not leeching off of her son or whatever. And then she thinks she's okay though, because no one has helped her with the asylum bills and she didn't ruin his life. So like she did one good thing with her life.
And we're like, asylum bills, what's going on? What's
happening there? Can you tell me about asylum? And she's like, no, it's going to take 200 more pages.
It's going to be another more 200 pages. Okay.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Beautiful, but very confusing flashbacks. Okay. They're not confusing. They're just like, give me more. And that's what kept me riveted.
I was confused. Aaron was confused. Well, because here, I kept thinking this was all one tragedy and not 5 tragedies.
Oh my God.
I just kept being like, what did the asylum have to do with the rapist? Which has to do with the, you know, like I couldn't piece it all together. And it turns out it's unrelated.
Yeah, completely.
Well, kind of.
So then her agent wants her to do an action script, and she's like, I hate them because pain and blood and hurt should be kept for real life. And which is like, oh God, Ria, my darling.
You're in a bad mental health spot, Ria.
Yeah, it's bad. But then she wants to get rid of him. So she's like, yes, I'll focus. I'll read the script or whatever. Then she goes to Jen and Nikhil's house to help Jen try on her couture saris. Her designer, you guys, made Jen some saris for her wedding. And this is the moment where I understood where Jen was coming from. Because she looks at them and she's like, oh, fuck, I wanted this traditional Indian wedding, but like, I don't know anything about these garments. Like, and so when I got the invitation to my friend's
I'm so excited
wedding,
to hear about this scene for the first time, because I was just like, trying on clothes for 50 pages? No. So tell me everything, Melody.
Oh, okay. She goes to the house and she gets out the saris. Jen has like a mini meltdown and she's like, I can't do this. Like, how am I going to get used to this in 12 days for the wedding or whatever? And Nikhil is trying to comfort her and tell her she's beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And Ria's like, you're a surgeon? Like, this is millions of people wear this and you like fix kids with surgery. So like, you can do this.
I do remember that part.
Anyway, yeah, so she sends Nikhil out and they do like this whole adorable fashion show where Ria puts on one sari and she puts on another one. She shows her how to pleat it and do the whole thing. And then she's like showing her how to like be the siren and then be the blushing bride. And then like they're prancing around and it's really cute. It's a big lady love.
There's like apparently like a part you can pull on it. That's just like a part. And if you pull it, it like makes it, the whole thing changes. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's the part that goes over the shoulder. Why am I blanking on what it's called?
I don't know either.
It down.
But like the way this is described is just it's nuts. I really
cool.
want to try it.
Yeah, I know. Well, but it's also really daunting. So when I got this invitation to my friend's wedding, they were like, Indian dress for the ceremony at all is optional for everyone. Like, if you want to do that, then sure. And I was like, oh my God, I want to, but I don't. Oh God.
No, what I want is this exact experience. I want somebody who knows what they're doing to put it on me and then show me how to pull the toggle to make it sexy and less sexy. And then I can have that little toggle thing all night to be like, sexy time, less sexy time. That's what I want. I want the exact Jen experience. I would also like that person to be a movie star that helps me out.
I would love that. So she has one of Jen's saris on and it's like too small. She's got many more busticles than Jen does. And so it's like just under her titties. And it's a whole, and she's much taller than Jen, so she's showing a lot more midriff. And then there's a knock on the door. Knock. Someone's at the door.
Are you knocking?
And so she runs over.
It's
like,
Vikram.
still joking. Well, she thinks it's Nikhil. So she's like joking with Jen. And then she opens the door. OMG, it's Vikram.
It's
and
Vikram.
Then up pops Mira. And she's like, hey, girl, you look so good.
You look
I'm
so
a bright
cute,
ray of
sorry.
sunshine.
Yeah.
And so she's like, OMG, I'm showing all of the skins. And Vikram, he does
falls
a heated
off her
gaze.
shoulder, like right at that moment. The Sari's like, get me off of here. I'm not supposed to be on you right now. You're supposed to be naked with this man.
Vikram's right there.
He
My
drinks
clothes should
in
melt
her
off.
whole body. His eyes
does he
like
drink?
go all over her body.
Like a thirsted man. He drinks like a starving. What's the?
No, just let it be what it is.
I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah, just let it.
Yeah,
just let it be.
Totally.
So, and then he probably says something mean.
Yeah, it's like that. Well, he just doesn't say anything. He just like stomps past her, and he's
that
like,
sounds right.
Didn't know you were here. So then Jen tells Mira, because Ria had been looking at this beautiful art, and it looked like it was like joyously danced across the page by the artist, and it looks so free and open and beautiful. And then Jen's like, hey, Mira, Ria really liked your paintings. And Ria's like, oh my God, she's everything I can never be. Ew, no.
And Mira is so open and kind and wonderful. She's like, oh, Ria, like, yeah, these are great, but like, you're an artist too. You must understand what it's like to be an artist. And Ria thinks she's talking somehow about her secret attic paintings. I don't know how. Yeah. And she freezes and gets all sweaty.
I think she thinks that Vikram might have told her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
maybe shown her like secret attic paint. I don't know. But, but that can't be true because she had no idea who she was. I don't know, whatever.
Right. Anyway.
And then Vikram's like, she's talking about your acting, you fucking moron. He doesn't say that second part. And she's
Mira's
like, oh, right.
Yeah, I'm talking about your acting.
What else would I be talking about? I'm just nice and normal, and why won't anyone else be? Please.
Yes. So then she's like, how did you get your start? Like, were you discovered in a mall somewhere or something?
Right.
And Ria thinks to herself, yeah, it was like that, except instead of a mall, it was my father's funeral. Mic drop chapter end. She is so good at this mic drop chapter ending situation.
But I mean, it doesn't even really matter that it was her father's funeral. It was like somebody who knew Ved. And
Are you kidding? I recoiled on the page. I was like, father's funeral?
I did, but then the next page, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter that it was her father's funeral.
Yes, it does. She thinks the next page is a flashback of her telling us how she got discovered at her father's funeral.
I guess, yes, but like the fact that was the place that it happened matters not.
Oh.
The fact that it happened after her father died and she needed to pay for the asylum and that it was like somebody's friend of a friend of a friend matters. But like the fact that it happened there is like not.
I don't know. It was a big dun for me.
It was. But then it didn't pay off. So it's like her dad's friend of a photographer of somebody knows Ved and like wants her to go there and like meet him so that she can be in the pictures.
Yeah, and he says that Vade personally picks each one of the girls he co-stars with.
Oof.
And she's like, oh, cool, not knowing that what he meant by co-star is fuck for the duration of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big yuck. And then it says, oof, the production house is looking for a new girl. And he tells her, someone who combined innocence and sex appeal. Vade had told her later, that was industry speak for a young girl with big breasts and empty eyes. She had been a perfect fit.
Ugh.
Oh. Yeah, and this is where we find out that by the time she knew, she had already signed both contracts for both the film and for the very, very, very expensive asylum.
Right.
So there was no way that she could say no in her mind.
Right.
Except that Vikram is a legit millionaire. He would have helped her pay for the asylum, but that would have been exactly what his mother said would happen, I guess. So like, God damn it, everyone. And then he would know about her sordid history in her brain, her quote unquote sordid history. It's a whole thing.
I just don't see where she thinks that Vikram, I don't know. I don't think it was a good reason. I just don't.
She's coming from such a deep place of self-hatred and deserving the worst and depression. And you can't think you won't think emotionally logically, if that makes sense, in that state. You know what I mean?
It's just so
and
rough.
that was Yeah, that was one of the hardest things because everything, God, it felt so oof and so...
It was hard to be in her head.
But it also felt so right.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of her thought processes, I was like, yeah, that tracks. And like, that's not a place I want to be in right now. So she comes back out and now they're all planning to go to dinner together. And she's like, I don't want to be the fifth wheel to this nonsense.
But
and she's getting a migraine.
And it is a big crazy. Okay. So during she's getting a migraine. During this dinner, at some point it comes up like, Ria, why are you single? Because you're so beautiful. I think Mira's saying it because Mira is nice and normal. And she's like, Ria, you can't be single. There's no way. You're cool and you're so pretty. And Vikram says, maybe it's because looks aren't everything. And that makes everybody at the table real mad because it's a big insult, Vikram. And it makes you seem like a lunatic that you said something this mean out of fucking nowhere. And everybody's like...
because also, it's like a Jekyll and Hyde moment because up until this point, he's been incredibly solicitous of Mira. He's been like plastered to her side. He's been doing all the PDA. Mm-hmm. He's been like up in her. He's been telling them like, at first, it was Mira's art that drew me, but then I've never met anyone so open and so uncomplicated and so loyal. And so he's been sending barbs at Ria that only her, him, and Nikhil
open, uncomplicated, loyal. Like,
fuck you, Vikram. But also,
all the girls,
I get it.
I get it. I understand, Vikram, and you can do whatever you want. So then the girls, they all come to hit. Here's the thing, Vikram, you
Jen
can
is
say
like, what the fuck,
whatever
man?
you want in the privacy of a conversation between just you and Ria. Say whatever you send her the meanest texts you can, but not in front of all these people. It makes you look like a lunatic, Vikram.
Because also, apparently, you're a stranger to her, according to what you just said to Mira.
Yeah, Mira's got to be Bing Boong Bong Mira perspective with Erin.
I know.
He said
Mira
he doesn't know her.
Confused.
She was nothing to him. He wants to fuck in front of her. Now we're at this thing, and he's like grumpily like, looks aren't everything about it.
You have to bring more to the table.
Mean. And so the girls are just like, wait, whoa, Ria's great. She's not just looks. And like, then they kind of rehabilitate from that. And then Mira's like, oh my gosh, while you're here, in Naperville, I will set you up with my brother, Sanjay?
Yeah, Sanjay.
Okay, for some reason I thought that was also that director's name, so I couldn't remember. And so she's like, Sanjay. Samir. And she's like, he's great. You're going to really like him. He's super cool. And like the ladies all say he's handsome. And she's like, oh, well, I don't have a lot of time. Like she kind of demurs from it.
Yeah.
And then like,
oh my God.
Vikram loses his
He does
shit.
A big freak out.
Yes.
He's like, don't you dare.
Basically, don't set her up with anyone.
He's like, Mira, she just said she doesn't have time. No man should have to deal with this fucking shit.
Yeah, because she's a monster, basically.
Yeah. And so she does a run outside. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. If
and
I'm
then he
Mira,
follows her.
I'm like, Vic, this has been a great 2 months. And you seemed great on paper, but you are now turning into a crazy monster man, and it is done.
Well, I will say, at this point, I was a little bit weirded out by Mira, simply because the way that they were with each other, the way that their family related to them, I got the impression that they were together for like, I don't know, a year or so. Mm-hmm. You know, like they had an established relationship. Also, I misinterpreted Mira's toast at this dinner. And I thought that she meant, here's to finding your true love. I thought she was talking about Vikram, not Jen and Nikhil, which I don't, that was a misunderstanding on my part. But then when I find out they've been dating for a month, I was like, oh my God, she's a nutter butter.
No.
But she's not.
She's not.
No.
I mean, she does talk about like, oh, she found a great guy and stuff. Because another thing that happens at that dinner is she says she's found she wishes for Ria to find a great guy like she has.
Right.
And Ria's like, yeah, I'd like that too, because all the men I've ever been with are jerks.
Yeah, because he's been saying things like Mira is so uncomplicated and loyal
Yeah.
and stuff. All right. So like,
But
okay.
I mean, Ria, you don't really have any room to talk like at all. Like,
Anyway, so he follows her out into the alley and he's like, and she's like about to throw up because the migraine and the terrible emotional trauma she just went through and all of that. And he's trying to comfort her, and then Nikhil comes out and he's like, get the fuck away from her, dude. Like, I will handle this. Bye.
mm-hmm.
So Nikhil takes her home, and this is where she does the 3-hour run. Sorry, I jumped the gun, everybody.
Isn't this where Nikhil tells her to like just stay away from Vikram, though?
No, that's after.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
after she recuperates.
Oh, she does this 3-hour run, you guys. We've already talked about it.
It's a terrible idea.
And then she finds him. He's by the oak tree. He nurses her calf back to health.
Yeah.
Her pulled calf.
Right.
And then, like, she can't walk. And so he, like, carries her. And that's a big carry.
They do come to the conclusion. He's like, I am here waiting for you because I can't do that to Mira again. I can't hurt her like that again. I can't keep having these outbursts. I've been a crazy, malicious, terrible person since you arrived.
Yes.
We need to be civil because this needs to be about Nikhil and Jen.
Yes.
And she's like, yes, I completely agree with all of that. Then there's like this running joke that starts about her having talons that sink into men and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't super remember how it happens, but it happens. And they start laughing and it's like sort of nice.
Ha ha ha, you're a succubus.
Yeah.
What a harpy.
Yeah, exactly. So then they're about to go home and she falls down because very similar to right after I ran my first and only half marathon, my legs felt like they weren't attached to my body anymore. They were all numb and stuff. And so she falls right the fuck down.
And then he carries her. Does a big carry.
Yeah. And the whole time he's like, we're going to be civil. And that's why I'm carrying you. Just focus on the pain. This will be over soon. Like our body proximity will be over soon.
Well, she does like protest to the carry a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that's what
I'm
he's
not saying it's a
responding
bad
to.
thing. I'm just saying that it's like it's still a big angst is what I'm saying.
Yes, big angst. Big angst, yes.
That's all I'm saying. So then the family takes care of her. Everybody's
She
really
sleeps for
fucking mad.
days. She sleeps for
And
days. For days.
Yeah, she sleeps for 2 days.
I just can't imagine any situation that doesn't involve a coma where I'm asleep for 2 days.
She also had said that she hadn't slept for 40 hours before that since she arrived because she's been such a depressed angst.
Yeah, I know, but it's
since
just like
getting Jesus fuck. Anyway,
if
it's
somebody
bad.
comes home, and there's a jet lag involved too, but if somebody sleeps for 2 days, you guys call a doctor. Like, that's not a normal.
I know. Yeah,
Like, they
seriously.
might be
Well,
dead.
Nikhil is a doctor, and they've been giving her pills and stuff.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Nikhil and
Everybody
Jen
in
are
this
both
family
doctors.
does seem to be a doctor.
VJ
Jen's
is also a doctor. Her
Nikhil's
uncle.
a doctor. VJ's
Yeah.
a doctor. Never mind.
She thinks Vikram's a doctor, although he's fucked off.
This family does not need to call a doctor.
No.
Everybody is doctors.
Yeah, they've been consulting each other for a while. So then, all right, so she wakes up and Nikhil is there. And after being like, Uma Atya is thinking about telling everybody to, like, we're canceling the wedding and stuff.
Mhm.
And, like, we're canceling all the stuff before that.
Oh my
She's
God,
like,
what a drama.
gosh, you're so dramatic.
Yes.
And they're like, dude, you slept for 2 days.
But you don't cancel a wedding because a cousin is sick.
Yeah, fair.
That's crazy.
Anyway, but this is where Nikhil is like,
Especially not a wedding
you
like
should
this.
maybe.
The level of planning, the sheer number of dinners. I'm sorry.
I know.
Okay, keep going.
No, I know. Well, and the true love that Jen and
Also, that
Nikhil
true love that they
show.
do have. Yeah.
Like, all at every turn, they're always like joyfully making out
Yeah.
and stuff. It's really nice.
Yeah. Where is that
They
book?
were a bright spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to read that. I would love to read their anyway.
Yes.
So they can't be in the Bollywood series because,
No.
as you so deftly pointed out, they are not in Bollywood.
They're not.
All right. Okay. So then this is where he's like, hey, you should maybe think about staying away from Vikram. Like, you can't start things up with him. You don't know everything. Then
Mhm.
she gets really mad at him.
Yeah.
And she realizes, even in the moment, I love this. I love this when characters do this because I do the exact same thing where she's like, I know that what I'm thinking right now is irrational. And yet here I am. Because she's never told Nikhil the truth even. He doesn't know about all the shit. And so she's like, He should know that I would never intentionally hurt Vikram. And even though every single word that has come out of my mouth has been lies to support it, and all of the evidence that he's seen also supports this conclusion, he should know me better than that.
Yeah.
And she knows she's being ridiculous. Now, they make her go down and sit on the couch because they moved the dinner here to their house instead of canceling it. And then Vikram comes in to get a vegetable plate.
How about she just doesn't go to that dinner? Like,
I know.
How about one member of your huge family just, why?
They never get to see her.
Heard from her. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it's true.
No, Uma Atya and Vijay Kaka have both been to Mumbai to visit her.
Totally.
Right?
But imagine that you have a cousin. Okay?
They're basically siblings. 2 months out of the year, they were siblings.
Sure. I'm not talking about Uma. I'm not talking about Nikhil. All right? Those two are out of this. Imagine the rest of this family. Okay?
Yeah.
Huge family. You've got a cousin who was with, well, I guess they don't know about the Vicky thing.
They don't know about it.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
All right.
Because I'm just like, think about a cousin who so fully betrayed your cousin. And then went off to fucking Mumbai and just starred in movies for 10 years and didn't give a shit about your family. And then they're like, she's sleepy. Let's move the dinner. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Because Miss Princess Bollywood is sleepy because she ran too far. We've got to move the dinner. Okay, princess.
Meanwhile, you just said that if someone sleeps for 2 days, you should immediately call a doctor. So, pick a side, Erin.
No. Somebody calls a doctor. She needs an attendant, but also everyone else gets to live their lives normally.
Yeah,
we don't cancel weddings. We don't move dinners or whatever. We attend to her health needs and also go about our lives. The world keeps spinning. It's very weird to me. But, they don't know about the Vikram thing, so I'm going to give it to him.
So Vikram comes in to get the vegetable tray.
Yes.
And then, I don't know, he looks at her toe, and that makes him remember.
There's a toe.
She has a scar on her toe.
Where they were making out and they dropped a hammer. It's a metaphor? Is it?
I think.
Is it a metaphor?
I don't know what
I don't know. Okay, let's move on from the toe.
He has this really guilty look on his face. And then Mira comes in and she's like, oh no, my boyfriend who's been acting really fucking suspect around this lady I just met.
And keep in mind, Mira was there when he carried her back too.
Yes, she was. No, she wasn't.
Yeah, I think she was.
Really?
I'm 20% sure she was.
I'm at least 80% sure she wasn't. 80.
So she probably was.
Sure.
I think. And that should even make her more suspicious. I'm getting loopy. We've been here too long.
I know. I'm telling you, this is a two-parter.
Nothing even happens in this book.
So much. That's the problem. It seems like nothing happens, but so much happens.
Also, my butt story took a long time.
You spent so long on that butt story.
Right,
I'll tell you that.
He sees that toe. He sees it. He's a big guilt. Mira's there.
Yeah, he has. And then Mira's like, why does he have a big guilt in his face? So then Mira's like, hey, Vikram, everybody in this other room over here is waiting for that vegetable tray. So can you please get away from the lady that you protest too much around?
Why do we all have platters when we don't need to have platters? It's very weird.
Yeah. So he's like, I'll be there in a minute. And she's like, but you could come now because I am sort of asserting my girlfriend dominance over you. And he's like, I will be there in a minute. And she's like, humph. And so she grabs the vegetable tray away from him and fucks off. And so then Mira's like, you need to go after her. Or Ria is like, you need to go after her. And he's like, I will. And I don't remember why he stays. I think he says like running that far was a bad choice. You need to think about the consequences of your choices before you make them. And she's like, in her brain, she's like, har, 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 as if I haven't thought about the consequence of every choice that I've made. And then,
can you imagine?
This is where we find out that he dropped the hammer on her because she surprised him with a kiss. And it was another dun, 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 mic drop chapter end for me.
And again, didn't really go anywhere. Can you imagine what
go
it's like for
anywhere, though.
Mira after he's already been behaving this way, where he just sits and stares at this woman's feet for long enough where she has to physically remove what's in his hands?
Yeah.
Poor Mira.
Poor Mira.
And she's just regular and like cool.
She's just a happy-go-lucky person.
She's good at art, you know? She's nice.
She's just
Poor
she's just
Mira.
looking for a nice dude to settle down with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would read her book. Mira seems awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, so do Ria and Vikram, but just not right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a big angst.
That if I just met Ria, that like I don't know that I like Ria that much. Because we're in her head, I understand why Ria is the way that she is. But if I were an attendee at this wedding, I would be like, ugh, Ria's a real drag, am I right? You know? Like
No, but she always talks about turning on her movie star charm.
That is true.
You know what I mean? So like I think that if we didn't know anything about her, she would just seem like...
You think she'd do a big charisma and we would be like delighted by her?
Yes, definitely.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when, you guys, spoiler alert, they get together for a minute and like then she's like effervescent.
Oh,
with
then
happiness.
she's great. Yeah. Once his magic penis gets up in her and delivers
she's just
the magic, she's great. But
the shot of that sperm medication, you know, she's a Gigglesaurus Rex after that.
But I couldn't stop thinking for like the first half of this book when she's like at this wedding and she's just so much all the time being like, gosh, if she were at this wedding, I'd be like, that bitch, am I right? And that would be really mean because I would not know all of the shit she's been through and is dealing with. But I couldn't help thinking like, if I were at this wedding, I'd be like, that bitch went on another run and now we've got to move the dinner.
That
like
would be
a lot of that kind of
incredibly-
thing. Like I think I would have been a real bitch to Ria. I hate that that's true, but I think I would have been.
Yeah, you don't like putting other people out, and so you go out of your way to make sure that you don't put other people out.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be like, oh, we've got to all do this because Ria's got another migraine because she hasn't eaten in 3 days.
Right.
Ooh, like let's all change our plans and like leave dinner to take home Ria. Like, I really feel like that would be my attitude, which is really bad. That just goes to show you guys, you never know what people are dealing with.
You don't. Things can look bubbly and wonderful on the outside, and there can be a well of pain underneath. You never know.
Yeah.
So then she like gets a text from her agent, and she's going to do the action movie.
Yep.
Even though she doesn't want to, and she hasn't looked at the script, she just like sort of wants to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning, she goes downstairs, and Vikram nods at her in a very civil, congenial way, and she sort of nods back. And then she tries to put her hair up in a bun with a chopstick. Been here, right? Where like you do something 1,000 times and then it just doesn't work. So it falls out and her hair does a sultry tumble down her shoulders. Hair. Oh,
tumble, 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 tumble.
And then he does a very heated eye at her.
Yeah, he does a smolder.
Ooh, yeah. And then he makes her the perfect cup of coffee. Oh, also he goes down to his knees to grab the chopstick.
Yes.
And then he can only put it on the counter between them instead of handing it right to her because I think he just can't.
He can't deal with it.
Oh, he can't open that gate for himself.
Bing Boong Bong Coffee.
Yeah.
2 drops of cream? Fuck you, Ria. That's another thing. If I would have been in this coffee... Or in this kitchen and saw him put 2 drops of cream in her coffee and her be like, it's perfect. Thank you. Just like I like the cream. I would have been like, fuck you. 2 drops of cream?
Does it say 2 drops? I want you to get out your Kindle. I don't think it says that. I think it says like a dollop or, it's
if it doesn't, I'm in big trouble.
I think that maybe Erin did a project.
Yeah, here's the thing. Cream isn't going to get me there because everything's cream colored in this book.
Oh, yeah. Coffee might.
Okay.
He only makes her coffee a couple of times. And we are currently in chapter 13, so look that up.
Oh, wait. It's doing this dumb thing.
Okay, hold on.
The problem with you finding it, Mel, is I'm not going to believe you. I'm going to have to
Ready? All right.
No, you're so happy.
No. Vikram dropped a spoonful of sugar and a few drops of cream into the coffee. Erin is vindicated.
Fuck you, Ria. Like he's got a little eyedropper because just too much cream is just too much for Ria.
That's not what it's like, and you know
the
it.
Perfect amount of cream for Ria. It's just like a couple little drops. I would be the biggest bitch to her.
Like.
I just know I would.
That is a big mischaracterization.
But can you see me in this kitchen?
You would be side-eyeing her hard.
I would side-eye her so hard that I would wait for her to look at me while side-eyeing her.
You would.
Drops of cream.
Quick reality check. Bing boom bong reality check with Melody.
Anything more is just too much.
You would stop it. You would not watch intently enough to see how much cream he put in her coffee, and B, you would not hear her internal monologue about how he makes it just the way she likes it.
Okay.
And
number one,
blur, 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 blur.
Are you trying to say I'm not observant?
No, I'm just saying that you wouldn't be like,
I am observant as fuck.
Cream pour.
First of all. Second of all, I don't care who I'm judging in this situation. Either it's Vikram for putting drops of cream in her coffee, or it's her for like my perception that that's how she likes her coffee. But somebody's getting red. Like, it doesn't matter which one it is. My assumption is that it's going to be her because that's how she takes it. Because Vikram made coffee for everybody, and he just put the easiest little bit of cream in hers. What's up?
I thought that it was like you hold the can of cream or the mug of cream, whatever it is, and you do like a quick pour, like a bloop, 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 instead of like an eyedropper.
Oh, I'm thinking of like droplets. I'm thinking of like rain.
No, it's not like that, you ding dong.
That what you're talking about.
It's like a blunk blunk.
We have to write a letter to Sonali Dev, clearly. We have some questions about your book. None of them have anything to do with the rich tapestry of culture that you've painted. What we want to know is exactly how much cream is in Ria's coffee. That's what we want to know.
Did he get an eyedropper out?
We have no questions about this wedding or the ceremony or the saris or the food. None. But what we do need to know is Ria a bitch for how she takes her coffee? Oh, God. We have to be done, right? We can't keep going.
We can't.
We're sorry. Was this good? I don't know. Was this okay? I'm sorry.
Honestly, I don't know.
We tried.
We did. That was a bit of a desperate laugh I just let out. So
sorry, guys.
I don't know. Anyway,
hey, so you got that butt story. You got that butt story out of it.
You did. Should we try to get through this scene?
What is this scene?
They decide to go do the vows.
The end. There you go.
No.
They decide Vicky and Ria are going to go read up those vows. There's two kinds of vows, and they're going to go pick them out together.
That's where we'll pick up in the next episode, is them picking out vows, which ones Jen and Nikhil are going to use.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And the reason we have to is because she's the best at the language. So
who, Ria?
Yep.
Well, and it could have been Vikram. They need somebody who's good at the language, and they need somebody who's good at vows, because she's very like, Vikram could just go. And they're like, no, he can't pick our vows. We need a lady.
No, I don't think he can read it as well as she does.
Oh, I thought she wanted him to go alone. Maybe that's the reason they have them both go. But she did a big protest. No, she wanted
Nikhil and Vikram to go together. And she and Jen go do the other thing.
I see. She wanted
to
switch.
But neither Nikhil or Vikram are good at, I think, reading the language. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, because like she talks a lot about how Vikram's Marathi is accented, like American accented.
Yeah.
But she, born and raised in India, schooled there, all of that.
Yep.
So anyway, that's where we're going to pick up. So, Erin, I promise you, HBs, they are going to fall in love. And there is going to be some sizzling hot kisses and sexy times.
Yeah. Yes.
This sexy time, it's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice. All right, Erin, do you have a lady love? Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. Mine is, we've said it before and I'll say it again, take care of your mental health, you guys. It's really important. And, I've sort of alluded to it, so I figure I'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm actually pretty good right now. A couple of months ago, I made the leap and I went to my GP and I was really scared because I got a lot of anti-med messaging when I was, growing up. But I went to my GP and I was like, something's got to give. I'm wondering if I can try out an SSRI of some sort. Or that's not how I said it. We talked about my symptoms and then she was like, do you want to try an SSRI? So I faced my fear and I'm honestly pretty proud of myself and I made the leap. And so I'm currently taking some meds to help out. And I was especially scared because I am breastfeeding and I just worry. But she put me on the preferred SSRI for breastfeeding. And between that and not being on the constant PMDD train that my IUD put me on, because I sort of did it simultaneously. I was super fed up. And so I had my IUD taken out and I went to my GP and I got on Zoloft. And so for the past couple of months, this was early December, I've been a lot better. I still obviously have my struggles and I'm working through it, but I'm also on a wait list to get back into talk therapy. And I'm looking at different avenues to get back there because my therapist retired. So anyway, that's where I'm at. And this book was really hard because it felt like it was putting me back into the really negative mental spirals that one can get into when they're moderately depressed or, depressed at all. And it's a lot.
I should have done better. I felt like
You could not have known. This was a wreck.
I thought that this was going to be, whenever I see a celebrity book, I assume it's going to be an upbeat contemporary. And I don't know why I made that assumption. It's the same thing we did in Bully, where I thought that because it was YA, it was going to be upbeat, which is not the case.
Right.
I just want you to know, if I had known what this book was, I wouldn't have not put it in this lineup.
No, I get that. And Erin, I did not say any of that. I want you to completely take off the shackles of whatever guilt you're feeling right now.
Thanks.
Because this is not an Erin thing. It's totally okay.
I know. I feel a little bad for making you read this book. That's all.
No, I know. No, and I'm doing okay, fuck, man. I'm looking at my kids and I'm giggling with them again.
I've noticed a difference.
For a while that was not happening. Even though I would look at them and say to myself, logically, you are fucking hilarious. And I know that what you're doing is so cute and hilarious, but for some reason I cannot feel it and I can't get past this veil of hopelessness. And so I am doing way, 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 way better. This was just a bit of a reminder that I've had to kind of slog through and fight against in my journey to taking care of myself.
Well, I've really noticed a change too.
Oh, good.
And the last big fight we had was about I wasn't telling you things because I was worried about your reactions, which was my problem, and I should have been, just hey, reminder, we have to do this or that, or we need to correct this thing or something like that. And I wasn't telling you, which upset you, which was super valid. And so I vowed that I was going to be better at telling you things regardless of whether I was scared of how you were going to react to them. Yeah. And I've really noticed in the last couple of months that how I think you're going to react to something has not been how you have reacted in the past to things. Hey, reminder, we have to do this or that. And then I'm kind of bracing myself for is this going to cause Melody to be really upset? And I've really noticed a difference.
Oh, that makes me feel really good.
Or maybe the idea that you were going to react in that way was just all in my head anyway. And that's my total problem. I don't know.
I have noticed that. There have been a couple of times, even long, long ago, when you were like, I'm so scared to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you it. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's work it out. Let's do it.
I think sometimes in the past, maybe I just given you you like medium news that I thought was like medium and not like bad, and it hit you at the wrong time, and that made me really gun shy. But anyway, I've noticed you've been much happier the last couple months, which has made me happy.
It has been a lot better.
For my lady love, I'm gonna plug our spin-off groups, I think, on Facebook. We have a lot of new spin-off groups. So we have the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult, which we plug all the time, but there's a lot of like little groups that are spinning out that are for like local. There's one for like if you're in HB and you're in Minnesota. There's HB crafty people.
It's called abs crafts. Oh no, that's just the cover photo.
If you see abs crafts, that's what that is.
Yeah,
it's HB crafty crew. And when you were just talking about this, it reminded me of Cat C's great spinoff group, which is HB's for MH, which is the mental health group, where people are very supportive. And there are a lot of also mental health practitioners in that group. So if you're out there and you're worried about like, how do I even begin to think about going to therapy or a counselor? And what are the barriers there as far as like insurance and money and how to find the right one, and what's a psychologist versus a psychiatrist versus a licensed clinical social worker versus, like all that stuff. A lot of people in there have those answers, and it's a really great group. HB Geriatric Booze Cruise is one of the new ones, which is about cocktails and craft beers and stuff. What are the others?
HB's Here for the Right Reasons.
HB's Here for the Right Reasons, which is about The Bachelor. What's the role playing? The HB's for RPGs is one.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch. So if you are like, I don't know, in the geriatric friendship cult or are not, but you're interested in one of those things, they're out there. Are those all of them? I feel like I may be neglecting some and like I shouldn't, but I don't know. They're not coming.
I know
to
we
me.
should have prepped this.
I know I didn't though.
I won't.
And if you're going to KissCon this year, there's an HB KissCon group as well. HB KissCon 2020.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, we're going to be back with you next week with the exciting conclusion of the Bollywood Bride.
Yeah.
Until then, you can find us on all the places. We are on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on Twitter at Heaving_Bosoms. On Facebook, we have a page, just Heaving Bosoms Podcast, then the aforementioned group, the Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult, all the spin-off groups, which are amazing. Our website is heavingbosoms.com. And our Patreon, we're doing super fun shit there, is patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast. And we love you, and we want you to take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, to enjoy.
And if you don't want to read this book, don't read this book.
Don't read this book if you don't
want to. But it's beautiful. I'm not saying don't read this book. Beautiful. But I'm just saying, if you're in a place, don't read this book. Don't feel like you got to read this book.
Yeah. Okay. Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love putting your whole hand in your partner's butt at a public party on the day of the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Says an atheist.
Yes. I don't know why I was more offended.
Yeah. It's so weird.
There was also a lot of hors d'oeuvres at this party, which was kind of squeaking me out.
No.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that at a finger food party.
It's kind of a forever unclean situation. It's like, even if she went right to the bathroom and washed her hands, which she did not, I just feel like there's no amount of washing that's gonna like get that out of my brain.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about this again? Bye. Goodbye, Melody. Bye.
Goodbye, Erin.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.